Good day and welcome to Tattoo News. Today we're going to talk to one of the founding members, I guess, of the Okanagan Show. If you don't know about the Okanagan Show, it's one of the best one in Canada that I heard. Never been there, but I only have to figure out when people are talking. I listen, so and that's what I heard many times. And so without further ado, this is Rob Jobe here with me. Good day, Rob. How you doing?
Great, Patrick. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. It's been a long time.
Yes, sir.
So you just came back for a little trip, but it was a business trip. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I went to Tampa, Florida, to be involved in the sessions educational seminars being put on by Tony Trophy and Squire Strahan. It's curated educational experience where they kind of teach traditional and non-traditional tattoo education kind of subjects. It's curated by the two guys, so they kind of pick and talk to the presenting artists about what they're going to talk about, so that there's not a lot of crossover. So you're not sitting there all weekend hearing the same concepts from just different people. Plus, they do some discussion panels where they brought in some artists to talk just on the discussion panel. So overall, pretty cool event. I just found it was kind of interesting to me that they ran it in a city without a tattoo convention attached to it. And they drew over 100 artists to fly into Tampa, quite a few Canadians, which I was surprised too as well. It was nice to see some friendly Canadian faces. So
a seminar not attached to a convention, that's cool.
Yeah, didn't have a convention attached to it, so people just flew there strictly for the educational aspect, which was, which is cool. It's got its own vibe. No one's like rushing, and no one looks super hungover from what I can tell. It's just like, it's kind of nice. Yeah, it's a little bit more there for education's sake, which says a lot too. I mean, tattooers are trying everything nowadays after like a really kind of a down year. So it's kind of nice to see them try some different things and learn some new aspects to their career, which they can apply and maybe, find some success with.
For sure. And that goes with the times we're living in. But that didn't stop you to create a new business called Lucky Supply Canada. Not really a new business, but just supporting a business from the United States has a great history in Canada through some of the ex-partners like Bill Baker and Pierre Champlain. So it's really nice to continue what they kind of started in Canada with Lucky's and Jimmy Whitlock's crew in the States. It's really wonderful. Lucas and I looked at it, and Natalie did too, but Lucas and I kind of drive this end of the business where we kind of were like, hey, Lucky's is a great brand. It has a very rich history in tattooing. A lot of their ideals, they line up almost 100% with the way we think about tattooing, which is great. And they have just such a successful brand over the years, and a brand that kind of has life in coil tattooing. So even though they produce cartridges and everything else through Lucky, we're kind of looking at it as our coil, supporting the coil end of tattooing, which Lucas has, and myself too. I mean, it's like any tattooer of our era grew up with coil machines at some point. So it's really wonderful to be able to have the Lucky supply of products that kind of align towards that. And then we can really focus on it, even having builders on our website again with, having guys like Chris David and Jesse Young and Dax on there. All Canadian.
Yeah, all Canadian. We tried to have mostly Canadians on there. And just to begin with, I mean, I think in Lucas's picture, we loved the old days of Lucky's when it was a black screen with green pixels on it, and you'd oh, look at these machines, these Jay Kelly machines and the Aaron Kane machines and the Brian Hibbard machines, and just, know what I mean? And then Jimmy's machines, and all the tribute style stuff and all the old Rollo stuff. I mean, you just used to be able to go through there and Soba stuff and just be like, oh my God, I want all of these, And so we wanted to have a nod to that, a little bit more modern, but it's good. Yeah.
Congratulations on that. And that's
Yeah.
not your only project slash business you got. You got also a beautiful convention, like I was saying at the beginning, and you're entering this year, 2025, into your 11th year
Yeah.
of doing the Okanagan Tattoo Show. Tell me about that. How did it start?
Danielle Crow started the Okanagan Tattoo Show 13 years ago. We had a couple year break because of COVID. We're in our 11th year. We're in Kelowna, British Columbia, which, if you don't know geography wise, it's like directly in the middle of basically Vancouver on one side, Calgary on the other. We're right in the middle on the Trans-Canada Highway, just off it on 33rd. It's called the 33rd Highway. And it's got an international airport. It's a pretty bustling city. It's in the Okanagan Valley, which stretches from Osoyoos, kind of almost near the American border, right up towards the North Shuswap, say like Kamloops area. That would almost be the Shuswap, it's its own thing, but it's the Okanagan Valley. Known for agriculture, wine, tourism, those kind of things, golf, winter sports. So within a 3-hour drive, you can be, riding some of the nicest smaller hills, and then also playing world-class golf and enjoying our lake system, which runs from the Shuswap all the way down. Tons of lakes. We're known for boats and bikinis and good food. I would say the terroir is almost kind of like Quebec. It's like got that same vibe where it's like we grow everything in the area, we eat from the area, we play in the area. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's because of all that, because that sounds appealing as fuck, But you guys' convention basically went up pretty quick in the sphere of good conventions. I remember when it started. I remember people were bragging about it all the time. And so, what do you think it makes a success? Not only the bikinis and the boats, right? It's or the golf.
I think it's just a tiny bit different than most. I mean, I got brought on by Danielle. She and her partners, Terrence Smith and Deanna Parashiv, which are still my partners today as well. Both Terrence and Deanna have been with the show far longer than myself. They were with Danielle right from the beginning, and it works really nice because Terrence does the entertainment and the music part of it, and then deals with the show companies that help us put on the event. And then Deanna takes care of most of the back end, and then I take care of the artist end. So between the three of us, it's really great. We share the load, but also we kind of have a more casual approach to our convention, which I think is felt by a lot of artists, both on the positive end and on a frustrating end. I mean, we all work full-time jobs. So our show, we're not looking to make it this gigantic mega spectacle. What we kind of look to do is try to be good hosts, try to show tattooers that, hey, this is kind of a scene here, and blue collar people love tattoos here, and they love getting tattooed, and they do save their money every year to come to the show and get some tattoos done. So even though it's a smaller town, it's a smaller show, we can't really make it bigger, and it just runs the same kind of along the same way St. John's runs too, and even in some respects Saskatoon. It's the kind of show that feels like a homegrown kind of show. Smaller amount of artists, and then pretty ravenous, hungry people to get tattooed, and just happens to be one of the most beautiful spots in Canada. So not hard to come in the summer and go camping afterward, or enjoy boating while you're there, or hit wine country with your friends. I mean, there's lots to do. So it's pretty cool.
That's it's a perk, but it's not necessarily the first thing. But the way you accommodate people, the way you take care of people, that probably is one of the success story that you can talk about.
I think so. I mean, we used to cater, when we had an outside quotient before. We used to have an inside and an outside. It used to be run at the Parkinson Rec Center, and then we've been running it at the Kelowna Curling Club for years, kind of like St. John's does with their show. And one of the downsides is on the load-in day, it gets really warm in there because there's no air conditioning in the building. it's ice, right? So they turn the ice on. The ice factory is on, but just because we have the rear door open, and Kelowna in the summertime can be 30 to 40 degrees, just depending on what day of the week it is. So it gets a little warm in there. So for the first day, you'll see a lot of tattooers barely wearing clothes and tattooing. And then it's like, gets colder through the weekend, but it really gives a summer vibe to the show. And it's hard not to when it's 40 degrees outside. It's crazy. But people still come like crazy. It's awesome.
So tell me, what are the dates this year? It's in August.
18th to the 20th of July this year. It's always in July. There's a really famous outdoor concert here, party rave kind of thing that's really, really old, called Shambhala. And we always try to dodge Shambhala. We're always trying to do the weekend before, the weekend after Sham, because it's such a busy event and so many tattooers like to go to it too. So if I can accommodate them more by as well being the weekend before or after Shambhala, that means they can still go to Shambhala too and get a group together. As well as people from Shambhala. A lot of people from Kelowna go there every year and never miss it. So it's one of those events that we like to coincide with. And we're kind of known for, the show only has 165 booths, and that's crammed in there, as far as I can cram them. I mean, it still feels like there's lots of room in there, but that's as many as we're physically can put in there with fire regulations. And so we get 85% of the artists back every year, because they come as a group, they'll come as 5 or 4 or 6 or whatever it is, and they want to camp. They want to go and do some adventuring around the area, and it's adventure central. So it's like,
I probably was wrong then. Kelowna itself is a way to get to the convention, People linger for a few, maybe a week, or maybe they take a vacation at that time too.
Yeah, and we've had a bit of there's been a couple little struggles, with the city and stuff of trying to get things done. And our outside concert area, we've kind of stopped doing the outside concerts because it was through city regulations. They found us to be a festival instead of. So we grew to the point where we were termed a festival. So they want so we rent a little piece of land outside, grass from them, to have a nice outdoor. And we used to have a beer fest and a big stage, like a 30-foot stage, and then we do rock, punk rock, and stoner rock music all weekend. And we get some pretty big bands from the States, like some bigger punk rock bands and stoner rock bands from the States have come up, like Rocket Teenage Bottle Rocket, Bad Cop, Red Fang. We've had lots of Canadian acts too. We support a lot of Canadian bands as well.
So what's happening now? We
can't really run the outside, because as soon as you put up a fence and you want to charge a ticket price on city ground, the city gets a chunk. And unfortunately, as any tattoo promoter will know who's run a small show, you run into this thing where you want to grow the show and you want to show more people a good time, and you think it's a great idea to run a music festival outside of your tattoo show. And it is, because it breeds memories that people never forget and think are great.
And I heard so much good thing about it. I was saddened when you talked to me about that you cannot do it anymore. So
and it's one of those things where it's like, if I give the city the percentage that they want, then there's absolute, we're always, when we put on the outside event, the infrastructure costs so much that it's a break-even thing at best. And the three of the 2 business partners, and myself, we can't run the show just for passion all the time. I mean, that show's enough. We got passion galore that goes into it, but we can't just run it like that. It has to at least, turn a tiny bit of a profit, or else it's not.
And you want to do it every year. So if you don't have that,
So we've partnered with a local venue called Revelry, and we pay for the band to play there on the final night at Revelry, but we charge an additional ticket, so it's like a closing party. But last year we had Monine, which was really cool because Monine hadn't played in British Columbia in forever. I don't think they were even a band. Like they
Really?
they came back together as a band after taking a long hiatus. And then people flew in to see them, which was really cool. So
That they didn't have anything to do with the convention?
yeah, so we had people coming from Edmonton and Calgary and Vancouver and to go just come see Monine because it's like, they were a big like nostalgic band for a lot of people in high school days. And then all of a sudden it's like,
Crazy.
one of their favorite bands is playing the same weekend as the show.
So the entertainment got sort of a shrink, but it's still there, still very strong, and it's fun. And
we still provided a ton of bands in the lounge. So we have a 400-seat lounge upstairs.
Okay.
And we still have bands play up there all weekend, and that's just
good.
with the ticket. So we still have that aspect to the show. It's kind of actually nice because you can hear the band, but it doesn't blow your ears away when you're inside. So
it is something people complain about all the time.
Oh, of course, yeah. And we try to. That's the same thing with our show. Is like we don't play tons of music. I get on the mic, once every 2 hours and give a little like, hey, this is happening. But we, it's Nico. She runs the event, like all the events for the tattoo contest. And we don't put, my own opinion is that I don't think we need to have a dog and pony show every year. Like, I understand that people want to win prizes, and I understand it. And for years, I fought against it. We only had best of day and best of show. That's it.
That's it.
But so many artists complain to me all the time that they wanted to have more and more and more. So now Nico runs it, and I'm glad she does because she's got some passion for it, whereas I don't have a ton of passion for it. But I love seeing all the awesome work. But I think it's more, I think that's why people come to our show a little bit more. And it's like, and we don't have the curated artist experience like Montreal did for all those years, Toronto to a certain aspect like Damien did, and then definitely like Rich has kind of done here at Winnipeg over the last couple of years, the last few years that he's run his show. He's put every effort into having tons of internationals, tons of like, more of a premium kind of like pull from the high-end tattoo crowd. Ours is more like we still get internationals. We still get a ton of great artists at the show. There's no doubt about that. But they're there to have a great time too. And they'll tattoo one person for 3 days. They often win the contests. But we just don't focus on it as much,
Is it hard for you guys nowadays to get people from, international people?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, we always pay for their temporary visas, so we don't ask them to sneak in. My business partner Deanna is very adept at having the paperwork down, thanks to people like Steve Peace, who pioneered that in Canadian tattooing, who really supports the artists and gets their temporary visas done. I'm really hoping that they didn't change temporary visas, because I remember hearing about that quite a bit in the news, that Canada was axing temporary visas. I don't know if that affects these really short-term ones as much. I really hope not, because that's a bad thing for the arts. Tattooers need to travel. That's an important part of our careers as well. So I'm really hoping that that's not the case. I'll get some clarity for that in the next couple of weeks, I'm sure. But yeah, it's one of those things that we've always tried to get. Well, we pay for it. We tell them to come, and once they do come, they can't believe, and then they tell their friends. It's the same thing. We have a really big word of mouth show, and it's paid off awesomely for that. And
every year I hear.
Yeah, but the crappy thing is like people think I'm excluding them, which also sucks. I'm not. I'm just
always.
Like we have I think our email list now for just modern ones, so like 3 years with what we call modern. I think our 3-year list is up to 900. So it's like I send them out in tiers. I send out last year's hey, you can come again. And then I send out a previous year's once that's been sent 2 weeks later. And then I send out another general one to everybody to invite them to fill the last couple little holes. But it never gets to the third one. I think I've only emailed that third list once in 8 years. I think
it's because someone was sick that week,
Yeah, and you know, the same people want to come every year. And then they don't come for 1 year and then they're like, "Oh, I'll never get back in again." And it's like, no, we can still try to make it happen, but it's yeah. I'm less concerned with bringing in like people from out because we just don't need the help. We're
Right.
and Kelowna has a lot of good artists as well, like a ton. And you know, and they've really wanted to be involved over the years, and it's been contentious sometimes too because they really feel that they should be involved, and I feel that too. But the general public can go to them anytime, and it really is nice to have a bit of a showcase. But we do include a ton of Kelowna shops. But just over the years, it's just one of those things. A small show, and I don't want to make it bigger. I don't want to have 400 artists. I don't think that Kelowna's the size that we need to have 400 out of town artists there to tattoo and then have it be crickets in town for the next 6 months.
Exactly, because
I don't think that's cool either. You know, I'm a tattooer, you know, first and foremost, and I don't think, you know, 2,000 artists at a show and then it's crickets in that general area for the next
I was going
3
to
months.
say. Yeah. So you told me a lot about success story. What would you say was you and your gang, the worst thing that happened, the failure that, we'll never do this again?
Well, I think 2 years in a row we ran the show and we didn't make a penny. In fact, we lost money the 1 year. I mean, it's so disheartening to have like all your friends like clapping you on the back and giving you hugs and high fives about your show and appreciating it. And it's like the best thing in the world. And then to hear, you know, it's like you wonder how much smoke is being blown, but it's like I love the feedback. I mean, I go to every show across Canada and it's always the same. There's 20, 30 artists at every show that say to me, "I got to come to your show. I heard nothing but all these awesome things." And it's like, you know, all that's, it's so nice. But if you can't make a penny at it, you know, we didn't for a couple of years. It was like, we can't just throw a great big fun party just for us. You know what I mean? That's what it almost felt like. It's just like, I get my favorite bands to come and play and I get to geek out, and thank God my business partner Terrence can put it together. So we get to see some bands that we love, and that's our, you know, we punk rock kids. We just love that shit, you know, and then just to have it. There's nothing more punk rock than throwing an awesome party and then having all your friends tell you how great it is and then be like searching for butts and beer cans, you know? It's just like, at the end of the weekend. But now it's like the way it's changed, it's way more sustainable. We still don't grow the show. Our prices haven't changed drastically. You know, I think from the year we started, it was like $695 and now it's up to $900. So it's like the prices, we haven't done much with them. We tried to keep them the same. The artists pay for all the infrastructure. The crowd that comes in gives us a bit of profit, and we try to run it really well every year. We do a big beach thing usually. So either we rent boats on the Thursday and we're out on the lake on boats. Never seen so many tattooers in the water before. So it's really fun. Last year, Danielle's family owned a chunk of property right on the water. And it was a family plot of land that was passed down, and it used to be an old orchard picking shack, which is really interesting. But it's right on the water, most beautiful piece of property. And her family was selling it and offered it to us to have a party at our pre-opening party. So we had a couple wake surf boats there all day, had it catered, had it DJ'd, had everyone out and enjoying it, and it was so fun to see like a couple of people from Ontario first time at the show, and they were just like, "Man, I can't believe this is insane," you know. And it just puts a huge smile on your face, because like that's the whole reason I moved, you know, as a kid. Even my mom loved the Okanagan because of the lakes and the water. And
it's hard not to be honest.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like mellow, chill vibes, good tattoos. And like I said, high fives and hugs. Everybody usually has quite a good time. The show is, and this is what I'm super proud of, the show is like predominantly female too, which is like so cool. Really? It's like,
tell me more about
last year, I think we were almost 70% female artists, which is like just so cool, because Canada, like, I've traveled a little bit, and you know, it's like I go around the world, and it's like you can really see women's tattooing really on the uptick. But it's been like this in Canada for years. We have a ton of slayers, and not only that, but now there's slayers that are getting into their second decade of tattooing, like they've gone through their first 10 years. And they were just like, they were nervous and didn't want to, and I'm painting with a wide brush here, let me say. So there's a lot of women out there that are not nervous and that are total bosses, but it's like you see these people at the start of their career that are nervous to talk to you or don't want to ask questions or any of that, and now they're just killing it, you know. And it's just like,
it's good to hear, because it used to be male dominated in the 70s, let's say, you know, few ladies here and there, but not really, you know?
Yeah, now you got whole shops of just murderers, you know. They're the best tattooers, and they treat their clients so good, and they got like clientele for days, and it's just like, yeah, and they just you know, it's like, hey, are you busy? Yeah, I'm busy, you know. And it's just like, yeah, it's the coolest thing. And it's like, I'm so stoked to see so many absolute, you know, just slayer tattooers, and that have come through our show too. You know, a lot of them that, you know, they were like, this is my first, I remember a couple of them telling me, it's my first tattoo show I've ever worked. And now they're 7-8 years in and just winning tattoo of the day at other shows. And yeah, it's so awesome.
It's fun to be you know, around for a little while, because you see all that, you know, and I know you notice, I notice all this, and it's great. You know, to me, evolution is nice, but when it's great and when it's even better than we anticipate. Oh,
1 second. I don't know what happened there, Patrick. 1 second.
No worries. But yeah, no, it's I'm so glad that you talk about that, because it's something we forget all the time, because in a sense, we care, but we don't care about all this. But when it jumps in your face, it's like, oh, that's right. You know, like we're not the only people that likes tattooing, you know, in a sense. And so,
and I think tattooing's changed a lot in the last, you know, used to see the same people at shows in my era of growing up in tattooing. Like, I was lucky I didn't start until I was 30 almost, which is almost lucky, because I took it really seriously. But I did shows, you know, my first show was 2002. And it was like, you know, my mentor, you know, dragged me to shows and before I'd even started tattooing the public. And I was lucky enough to get to meet all these influential Canadian tattooers that I was super stoked on. And then to be exposed to American tattooers as well. Just got really lucky in that era of tattooing. But this is a whole new era of tattooers, for sure. It's a different kind of scene, and I talked with so many people in this 20-year vein, like I am personally, and 25-year vein of being involved in the industry. And then just seeing what's happened in like the last 5 years, it's a complete changing of the guard. There's not a lot of that early 2000s era that are doing shows. They have family, kids, slowing down, you know, getting older, whatever.
I think that's why things are moving a bit, you know, like, you know, 20 years now, people are probably like in their, you know, 40s, let's say, you know, 50s, family, slacking, not slacking in matter of
slowing down. It's natural to slow down. I mean, especially with art too, it's so subjective. And I mean, I'm sure some older artists have felt like, you know, they're getting passed by modern artists. I mean, it's a completely different style of tattooing too, you know.
It goes so fast, eh?
It does, yeah. It's crazy. Not only are there tattoos that are good tattoos, but there are tattoos that look nothing like tattoos. I mean, it's just insane what's happening and what people can do these days, and how well things hold up too. You know, even seeing stuff that's 8-9 years old that's in that vein that's just holds up really well too. It's crazy, but I think it's really important that Canadian tattooers have always shown well internationally and out of the country, and I think that's a testament to a lot of great vibes in Canada as far as tattooing goes. You know, it's getting this way a little bit, but it never used to be a dog eat dog kind of scenario, and
so
like some other places, you know.
So you saw a big change in the last 10 years since the show was going, basically.
Yeah, even just the last 5, I just think of shows, you know, because doing so many shows with Good Guy, I mean, and just slowing down this year where it's like, I got these great guys working for us and I don't have to go to as many shows, but I mean, I've done
I
12.
love Ethan.
Yeah, the
Yep.
boys, Ethan and Jordan, are great, but
Yep.
they've been so great for us. But it's also like it's important for Lucas and I and Natalie to be able to step back a little bit too, because we've been doing 10 to 13 shows a year since 2014. Straight,
I know, and
you
it's
know.
demanding. It's really demanding. So, is it as demanding as working a show or creating the show? You know,
Oh, it's way worse creating the show and having the show.
it's a year-long thing.
insane. It's insane. But you know what? Like once the weekend gets there, it's like, and the stencil station has become less of an issue over the years. Now I have two little nephews and I put them to work and I sit them in the stencil station all weekend and they kind of just make sure it goes tickety boo. And the artists have like, you know, figured it out a little bit too. It's always just the bane of everyone's existence, you know. But
Yes.
yeah, it's like I go to have a great time. I don't want to sit in the stencil station all weekend because the tech isn't working, you know. It's like I used to love the days of there was a thermofax and a photocopier there, but it's just not what's happening anymore. So
Yeah, and people take care of their own too. They bring their stuff a lot of times.
yeah, a lot of people are super like they can't handle the frustration, which I totally get. I mean, but it's when you're trying to accommodate for nearly 200 people, you're bound to have big snags. I know it was really high on Steve's thing, and I know Rich tears his. You know, we've all torn our hair out over it over the years. It's not the greatest.
I remember a few moments.
Yeah.
But so we talked a bit about what happened, but what's next for the Okanagan show? Like this year, what can we expect this year and maybe the other years, later forward?
Well, this year I'm in talks with a couple of, so Good Guy we've been doing business in Australia quite a bit. And we're actually kind of partnering with the guys at Iron Temper carry quite a bit of our products, and so we've been going there the last couple of years to and same thing with Industry Supply there in Australia, and so we've been going there for a little while, and AB Supplies in New Zealand have been carrying our stuff forever too. So we started going there more often to try to build a team of people and start carrying our needles there because obviously we built our company on our needles. So we've been traveling there to do the convention thing, and the Iron Gate tattoo convention is there, and it's built on that premise of kind of like how Mickey used to do the London show. It's like trying to bring in the really high-end artists from all over, and so they get the Pan-Asian kind of area there and Europe. So it's kind of nice to get a really good inflow of Japanese tattooers and Polynesian tattooers, and then the best of Australia, New Zealand, and then you get a lot of Europeans there too. So it's a cool mix. And we've been going there for the past 2 years. We sponsored the tattoo show there. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. We'll be doing some more in the States because Lucky Supply in the States is becoming Good Guy Supply USA. So they're going to carry all of our needles and basically how we're distributing them in Canada, they're going to distribute us in the US. So I think it'll be our kind of plan is to do some US shows as well. I've already had quite a few promoters reach out and kind of say they'd love us to be involved. A lot of artist-driven stuff as well, again, which is really nice. So, we're partners with BJ Betts in Alpha Markers at Good Guy. And so we've done some US shows as Alpha Markers too, which is nice. And got out and did some bigger shows there. We usually do Golden State and we usually we do Chicago and Philadelphia, the Villain Art shows there that are huge. They're
so that probably brings you knowledge and stuff ideas for the show, and
you just get to see everything. You get to see this Villain Art show, which is bonkers, 1,000 booths, 2,000 artists, and at the Philadelphia Convention Center with 30,000 people in there walking around. I mean, it's bonkers. You know?
They do have AC there, so that
luckily, but it's it's President's Day long weekend. I can't even fathom what it costs to rent the Philadelphia Convention Center. That's a union place on President's Day long weekend where everyone's making double time and stuff. Oh my God, it just must cost so much money to put on. But yeah, it's crazy. It's just crazy to see that style of show and then come up to Canada and then see Steve Peace run his shows, which are run very smooth for the size of the, it shows his 20 years of experience in there running shows. And then, and see how big those have become and then how busy they still are.
True
Because
that.
Steve gives away a ton of tickets to the show and he wants to support the artists that have traveled and come. So the shows are always busy. You can't say they're not. And so it's like, it's cool. It's
Sometimes people say, oh, it's less busy, but there's so many people that you don't see a crowd, but it's always busy, like you don't see like a traffic jam or anything like that,
Yeah.
So
I would
that's
hate to
kinda
say
cool
that.
too.
I would hate to say that this is the way it is, but most of the artists that are prepared, that have self-promoted themselves, that have flash drawn, that have art on the tables, that have merchandise for sale, they're busy. If they engage with clientele and don't sit there and play video games or,
Headphones on.
and doom scroll their phone all weekend and like actually engage with the public, they'll be busy. We've had people. One artist came to our show. Her dog got the weekend before she came out to the show. The dog got injured in the backyard, and she put up a picture of the dog and then had like 50 pieces of flash on the table, and she did 40 some tattoos. I mean, if you want to be busy, you're busy at shows. I mean, for the most part. I mean, shows can be dead, and the promoters do have to advertise. You have to get out there and advertise, but it's.
So 2025 looks good for you guys. What about the show? Like, can we expect at the show this year?
Well, I can't announce the band because the contract's not signed yet. So the big band, but we're gonna have. I know Terrence already has probably more than half of his lineup signed and ready to go. We do compete with festivals, which kind of sucks. So in the summertime, like for us to get bands that we want, we're competing with great big gigantic festivals that pay tens of thousands of dollars to have the bands come to play for an hour. And then we can't compete with the merch sales either, because then they sell merch at those shows and they make triple what they make going on stage in merch. So it's like we can't compete with that. So we hope to get the bands that we have already signed in, but that's secondary. The show will sell out. We're turning on the tickets for the show today. We do have a VIP ticket, which we kind of started doing last year, which basically gives you the after party band that we're going to have, which will be a bigger band. And that gets you at Revelry. And then that would get you into a full weekend pass at the show. And then it also gets you VIP entrance on Friday. So you get to come into the venue 2 hours before the general public does. And you get to like talk with the artists and book tattoos before the general public gets in.
That's very good.
So that's one of the bonuses. And then that, our show's kind of been known to do the VIP booths too for tattoo artists, which not a lot of the other shows do. We give you a full big bag of supplies furnished by Good Guy Supply and Lucky, and then some of the brands we carry. And you'll get full size supplies in the bag. So you end up getting a bag like with some pigment in there, with barrier films, with stuff, but you get like a full assortment and you get a full box, which is kind of nice. And then you get a massage table, a stool, a light, and an armrest for the weekend. And it's already in your booth waiting for you. Yeah.
Yep.
So you just show up at the show, you got a bag of premium supplies in your booth and all your stuff ready to go. So we're kind of known for that too. I think the first couple of years we might have sold 8 to 10 VIP booths, and now I have enough to do 40 of them, 35, 40, and we basically sell out all the time now.
Well, it's hard not to accept the offer, right? Because you go there, it's more than usual, and it's all in a sense paid for, and it's in your booth. So that's
and you don't have to worry about it. It's there. You just set up. You work on it all weekend. You leave it in your booth at the end.
Yeah, something like that would be hard if you had 400 people.
Yeah, almost impossible. And and it's like it's first come first serve with us too. And then you don't get to pick and be with your friends too. So it really does. It more serves like artists that are traveling alone to shows. It does kind of, but I mean, if you're traveling alone and you're traveling a long way, it's like, it's a no brainer. And I think we only charge, I want to say $10.50 or something Like it's like $100 more than a regular booth or something like that. I can't.
To have everything set up for you, and
Yeah,
like you were saying, the table, everything.
yeah. And I think that part, the little things like that come to being a host. I mean, we try to do cool stuff. Like we used to do catered meals at nighttime, and you can sit outside under the stars and have a meal. And it's gotten harder and harder to do. But even with the restaurants, we try to make, like, we're in business with Central Kitchen. They'll stay open late. Curious Cafe will do us. Hopefully, we're gonna have a bocce/bowling night at B&A this year. So I've done a lot more outreach over the years. Every year, my brother's company, Simps Modern Beverage, has always provided us with stuff. So it's like, it's always nice to have stuff where you show up, you get a little gift bag of stuff.
Perks.
We just want
Yeah, little perks. It goes a long way because it's attention. You give people attention, caring, and that people notice that, as small as it is, as big as it is, people notice those small things. And I think it's one of the reasons why you guys have success, Yeah,
and we screw up, but even if we screw up, we take, we accept it. It's like, okay, we screwed up. What can we do? Like, how can we fix this? Or even just like, a few years ago, a bunch of years ago, they're at a bunch of shows, not just mine, but other shows. We had incidents of people overstepping their moral and their kind of like peer-to-peer like scheme. You know what I mean? They're overstepping their bounds and they're not being the cool person. So a bunch of tattoo artists got together and created like a tattoo show code of conduct. Not something that had to be like, not to say it's like, hey, do this or else, but more of just like, hey, if you read this document, you learn something from it, and then maybe when you're there on the weekend, you can kind of like clue into like the basic niceties of being a human. You know what I mean? Like, just be a cool person.
Where
and
can we find that document?
You can find it at Alberta Bound has it posted on there. So it's like basically a code of conduct that's saying like, hey, if you come to the show, this is how you should act. You should respect people and respect boundaries and don't cross them and be cool. I'm super proud of that. I'm super proud that a document like that exists without being too much. You know what I mean? It's like not something where it's like,
it's not an organization.
Yeah, I'm not judging you, and I'm not like, it's just like, hey, be a cool person, act this way, and if you don't, you're not welcome here.
Yeah, it's word of mouth, but a little bit extended, Yeah,
and I think if it's like, it's a different era, it just is. It just is intimidation and bullying and any of those kind of things. Physical or sexual misconduct in any form isn't welcomed in our community. And
pick up your trash when you're done.
Yeah, and then the basics of that. But like, this is just like how you act as a person, and it's just like, shows used to be kind of toxic sometimes, and I find them to be much more of a cool scenario.
The era was toxic as well. When you think about it, it wasn't the same.
Yeah, and my opinion is strong on this. I believe that people need to be respected, and I've lost some friends over it. And oh well,
that's it. Yeah,
it kind of sucks. It kind of sucks, but it's like I respect their opinions too. But I feel a certain way, and I came from an old school way of doing things, and I'm living new school. So it's like,
there's no limit to being nice. To be honest, you can be as coil lover as you want, but you still has to be nice.
Yeah, I mean,
so Rob,
hey, thanks so much. I appreciate you taking time to talk. And
hey, Rob, we're about an hour in already. Yeah. Is there anything you would like to say that you would like to inform people about, or if you want to bitch at someone because he did a bad conduct last show?
No. You know what? And even any issues that we have had over the years has always been met with, well, at the moment it's kind of chaos and crappy, and you might have to deal with crap you don't want to deal with. Even people that have made mistakes have always reached out to make amends. They've always like put a hand out in the end and said, hey, I'm kind of, that sucked and I apologize, and it's like, that's super cool. And then, for the most part, that's how all the shows in Canada are run. I think everybody that puts on a show, in Canada, a lot of them really have tattooing's traditions at heart, and I think they want people to get awesome tattoos. And can't say it for all of them because I haven't been to all of them, but all the shows I've been to, it's been, and people like Pierre and people like Steve have definitely paved the way. And Dave Monroe, you know what I mean? Those people that have run those shows for years and years and years, they paved the way and respectfully for me to see them do such a great job at running their shows.
Yep.
It's really made me want to run a show that's unique and individual as it is. And I'm really proud of all the people that run shows in Canada, because they're usually trying to do something with them instead of having a soulless endeavor in a room full of people.
And it's not about the size; it's about the quality. That's why I noticed.
Whether you have the top end talent or you're doing something that's super hospitable. I mean, there's that and everything in between in Canada, and it's really cool to be a part of, in a small way, of something that's cultural and shows off our traditions, which is really cool and important to me and Lucas and Nat, good guy as well, and Lucky. It's all part and parcel. So, and I appreciate you taking the time. It's really been wonderful to see what Dan and Emily are doing with Nix, and as much as I think everyone truly misses the way that things used to run under Damien every once in a while too, because he was a wild party. But miss him a lot. But it's like, I miss hearing him yell and scream in there. It's like, but Dan and Melina are bringing everyone back to where it used to be too, where people really like to go to Nick's, and it's busy. I mean, it's a busy show. So
yep, they're doing well, and it won't stop this year either. So
no, and Toronto is like such a great city. So no, it's great that Dan's using the platform and having you involved, and it's been great. So
thank you. Yes, and thank you for being here with Tattoo News. It's going to be a good year as well for us. So I'll let you know everything about it.
And you're invited out to the show. So if you want to come out to see the show, Patrick,
thank you.
Hop in with Dan and Melina and just come out, because they get a booth at the show if they want it. So come out and see us. Okay.
I'll let them know. And thank you very much. Thank you very much.